Most people are terrible at money management, and this is becoming an increasingly disturbing problem because everywhere around the world, life is getting more and more expensive. And part of the reason that most people are terrible at money management is that spending money is more rewarded than earning, saving, or investing money in our society. And let me explain what I mean by that. There's a fundamental difference between rich people and wealthy people. Rich people make and spend money right away, wealthy people save and invest it. In other words, rich people are rich now but could easily go broke if there is an economic downturn, if they lose their job, while wealthy people have multiple streams of passive income to ensure a solid financial foundation no matter the economic weather. And the thing is, we're not taught in school to invest, to save money, to create wealth, and that should be taught in school. That's right, financial literacy is important. But that's not even the biggest problem. The biggest part of the problem is that we are constantly exposed to people spending money, flaunting their wealth, showing off their assets. And I like to blame social media for a lot of things, but it's not even just social media. In that case, it's also on TV, in the news, in online ads, and beyond that, it's just out in the real world, in the collective subconscious. People have become walking billboards of what it means to be financially successful, even if it's just a screen of smoke. I mean, people making minimum wage wear Gucci shoes, and the worst thing is that they saved money to afford those shoes. So the money would have been better put to work in an investment account, but we'll get into that a bit later. So wearing luxury brands is not even synonym with wealth anymore. It just means that people want to show off and look like they make money. I mean, seriously, everyone is buying Louis Vuitton now, and not just the rich. And that's why the company is making more money than ever before. So we see people walking around dressed in fancy brands. You walk down the street, you see a guy with a nice car, then you get home and all you see on social media is people showing off. You're browsing online, you get ads for expensive stuff. It's just a constant vicious circle trying to get you to spend your money, right? So what does that entice us to do? Well, spend our money. We want to catch up with all the hype, stay in the game, right? But what if we've been playing the wrong game all along? True wealth is almost always based upon the same 4 core principles, followed in a specific order and creating a positive financial synergy when they all come together at the top. This system is a 4-level pyramid where each level is reliant on the one right below it, and so all levels are interdependent. You don't get one without the other, and the most important is to have a strong foundation. In this video, we'll take a look at each level of the pyramid one by one and try to understand how to implement the positive financial synergy they can create in our lives. And just to be clear, we're not here to talk about how to become a tech AI millionaire or some entrepreneur guy selling his company for $100 million. We're here to talk about how to better manage our money in order to secure our financial future and having a good life, because money doesn't buy happiness, but most things in life require money, so you might as well make sure you have a lot. So the first level of the pyramid is to diversify. Many great fortunes in the history of humanity have collapsed because they were built on one thing and one thing only. One industry, one product, one stock, one person. You never want to put all your eggs in the same basket, because if the basket drops, you'll be left with nothing but scrambled eggs, right? When it comes to diversifying investments in the stock market, there are many examples of best practice portfolios online, which you can simply copy and recreate yourself in your investment account. There are people who track the portfolios of guys like Warren Buffett or Ray Dalio, and they make the data available for everyone to see. Investment companies and private funds also regularly publish research papers and mid-year outlooks that are very helpful in building an efficient investment portfolio. It's also important to understand that investing your hard-earned money is not necessarily done in the stock market. You can also decide to create your own business and finance it yourself. You can invest in your friend's company, in real estate. There are many options. Again, just remember not to go all in on one thing. So one of the main problems people will run into right at the first level of the pyramid is that they won't have actual money to invest. You know, spare money. Money you're not going to need to spend on groceries, rent, or your car. And in a time where inflation hasn't been this high in decades and the average American makes $56,420 per year with a family to feed, it's fair to say that most people can't invest a ton of money in the stock market, let alone in different baskets, right? But the truth is, it's better to start slow than to never start, and the best time to start was always yesterday. You'd be surprised how much your portfolio could be worth in 10 or 20 years down the line if you started now. Look at it this way. If you make a $100 return on a $1,000 investment, so that's 10% return, in your first year, you may feel like you might as well have spent $1,000 on a TV or on a weekend or something like that. Think long term. You might make 10% of $100,000 20 years from now, and that's a different story. The second level of the pyramid is to accumulate. As much as it's important to invest to exponentially grow your wealth, it's also important to cash out once in a while and accumulate cash. Because in times of crisis, cash is king, not stocks. Many people see their fortunes evaporate in times of crisis because they never took out any gains and believed their stock was going to last forever and always go up. Nothing lasts forever. The S&P 500 tracks the performance of the 500 largest corporations in America. The average lifespan of a company on that list is 18 years. McKinsey believes that by 2027, 75% of companies currently quoted on the S&P 500 will have disappeared. So with that in mind, a good rule of thumb is this. When you get to the point where your investment account makes up more than a third of your assets, you should cash out some sort of profits every quarter or every year. These can be in the form of dividends or in the form of selling shares you own that have appreciated in value. Even if you only make a few $1,000s a year, it's important to accumulate in order to not be left with nothing in case of a crash. The third level of the pyramid is to manage. So after a decade or so of managing your accounts yourself, you may be able to afford an accountant and or private wealth advisor to take care of making your money. And if you're already thinking, Jesus Christ, a decade? That's a hell of a long time. I'm not waiting that long. But then you need to work again on your long-term vision. Rome wasn't built in one day. True wealth takes time to be created, so be patient. The upside of hiring someone to manage your wealth is that these guys usually know what they're doing more than you do, usually, and they'll have access to investment opportunities and financial products you may not be able to buy on your own. They will also spend time doing all the research for you while you can just sit back and relax. The downside is the fees, but it's usually not that much, and it's only fair since these guys are making you money while you're not lifting a finger, right? But why hire somebody else to manage your money if you've been doing it all along for the past 10 years, you know? Well, that's because like a lack of diversification, money mismanagement is one of the main reasons great fortunes, and also retirement accounts, by the way, disappear. If your goal is to create wealth that will outlast you, you'll greatly diminish your chances to succeed if you do everything yourself and plan on showing the ropes to your kids. Time and time again throughout the history of rich families and dynasties, this strategy has failed. And to illustrate that, let's take the final layer of the pyramid, preserve, and let's look at it through the example of the Vanderbilt family. The Vanderbilt family was the richest family in the United States in the 1800s. They were the founders of the largest shipping and railroad empire of their time. They built stuff like the Biltmore Estate, which to this day remains the largest privately owned house in the United States. It's insanity. Cornelius Vanderbilt was the original founder of the empire, and when his first son Billy inherited his father's wealth, things actually went pretty great. He doubled the family's wealth and expanded their empire even more, but as time went on, generation after generation, the wealth got more and more dispersed, and that's when problems began. The family had to sell their shares in their railway company, they lost their main shareholder status, and by 1947, all of their grandiose New York City homes had been torn down and most of the wealth was gone. And the irony of it all is that Cornelius Vanderbilt himself is said to have told his son Billy, "Any fool can make a fortune. It takes a man of brains to hold on to it." That's why it's important to get a private wealth manager when you get to a certain point in your financial journey, so that one uncle 100 years down the line can't show up and just say, "All right, boys, I need a mansion, let's drain those accounts." You don't want that. So in the end, this wealth pyramid is made of 4 core principles that have endured the test of time and almost always yield results when applied in the right order. Again, this is not a 4-step system in which you forget about the previous step once you go up a level. This is a harmonious process where every step is reliant on the previous one and all steps depend on each other to ensure success. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you found this video useful. If you did, remember to like and subscribe if you're not already. It really helps my channel grow. And yeah, that's it. Thanks again for watching. Have a great rest of your day. See you in the next video.